everybody. Andrew Love here in the house. And I just wanted to say I missed you all. It's been a while since I personally did a solo cast, and we've been through a lot since the last time I did. By we, I mean me. I also mean me and my family. I also mean High Noon. We've all been doing a lot, and I just wanted to catch you up a bit on that. And I also wanted to really exercise this topic. I wanted to talk about it and elaborate on it so that I hope you can get the essence of it. It's pretty simple, but I would love to paint a broad picture so that you can see yourself in it, okay? But practically speaking, I'm sitting in what might be called a solarium. It's a room encased in glass, but really it's a porch. It's a balcony, and it's on the 12th floor of a building here in Mongolia. I just got here with my family yesterday. Benji just spoke at GPA at UTS this week. Sammy's in Korea. We have Robert and Karina and the Wolfenbergers, as well as the Latin America team out in Dominican Republic right now. We just saw it was Karina's party, and they had like a pool party, just having an amazing time. So we are spread out right now. So High Noon, we're already kind of global, but right now we're super global. It's like when a cheetah kicks in the high gear and turns on the rocket boosters and becomes a super cheetah. That's what we're doing right now. And we just had our staff retreat. We just had an event in Las Vegas. We are on fire. And if you didn't know, actually, I myself, Andrew Love, am the new director of High Noon. We'll send out an email, but we didn't really have like a lot of fanfare about that. Sammy is the assistant director. I am the director. To be honest, ever since I started working with High Noon, I haven't had a title. So I think the only reason I'm the director is just so I can practice having an actual title. So Sammy's the assistant director, and then Benji is the director of Benji. He's his own director. I don't know what his title is. He's in that space now. Maybe he can restore that spirit world of not having a title. Anyway, so we're crushing it, and if you don't know, Karina's moving on to something else. I can't say officially, I don't think, because I don't think the emails have gone out from her new job's email list, which you're probably on, and I hope this has gotten you very curious. But yeah, High Noon is moving on and up, and we're going to continue to work with Karina. Robert's still hanging out. Anyway, just a bit of a recap. But today, everybody, I wanted to talk about this duality that I think is very important, that most of us are lacking in one of them deeply. And that is consistency versus randomness, let's call it. And let me just explain. Let me unpack this a bit. I am traveling right now, and my family does this every few years. It seems to be our pattern that we will live somewhere for about 2 or 2.5 years, and then we will travel for about a year. And that's our cycle. And we don't necessarily plan it. We honestly just kind of go with it. And it works for us. But while we're traveling, I always realize why we're traveling only after we start traveling. We kind of get this call. It's like in Encanto. Anybody seen that? Where she gets this call and she's just got to go. That's what happens to our families. It's like we get this itch. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, I'm saying a lot of metaphors here, but kind of like a bee. I don't know if you've ever watched the bee. They're infuriating to watch, but when they go check out a flower, they don't do it systematically at all. Go watch a bee. I mean, it's probably springtime where you are. Go find a nice patch of flowers where the bees hang out and watch how random they are. They just sporadically hop from one plant to the next, and even in a plant, they don't like check everything systematically. They just hop and skip all over the place, and they don't know that they're being drawn to pollinate. Their actual job is to pollinate things so that we can have life, so that we can have plants and all this stuff. So they're having some call, but they're germinating. They're spreading all this beautiful pollen all over the place so that the plants can grow. The same thing happens to my family, where we just get called and we're pollinating right now here in Mongolia. And why is that relevant to you? Well, it's because while I'm traveling, I realize that the reason why I love traveling is because it's so uncomfortable. And I realize how stuck I am in my routine only when I'm not in my routine. Okay, it's a wrench in everything that I created myself to be, and it gives me a chance to evaluate what was working and what wasn't working. It's nearly impossible to do that with any degree of clarity while you're stuck in it, because everything just is what it is. You cannot see yourself from outside yourself unless it's through somebody else's eyes, other people's perspective. But when they give you advice or they say, hey, this is what I see you doing, you filter it through yourself, which is stuck in these routines. So to put a wrench in that, I believe is so fundamentally important for our growth. And here's why. High Noon, in my opinion, is turning into an organization that is helping people to master the art and the science of being comfortable in your own skin so that you stop escaping yourself. And what that looks like is when difficult emotions arise, you deal with it. What does dealing with it look like? Well, it depends. It could be breathing through some anger. It could be talking through some anger. It could be calling somebody when you're really sad. It could be many different things, and you'll find that out. That's why it's an art, because it sometimes changes and you got to figure that out. But there's also science. There's certain things that you should probably be doing. So as an organization that's really attempting to facilitate this process of helping as many people as possible to get comfortable in their lives, in their minds, in their hearts, in their spirits, in their bodies, we ourselves at High Noon have to stay sharp, obviously. And for me, for my wife and I, and even for our kids now, we've realized that it's not chasing after. We don't go to like 5-star resorts. I don't think they would have us there. It's just not our scene. I feel like we just get kicked out in a few hours. I'm in the middle of a neighborhood here in Mongolia where the kids are still playing, the horns are still honking. It's very raw, very real. It's a beautiful place, but we're right in the thick of it. Why? Because we don't know this area at all. We'll figure it out. We will make this, we're going to be here for a couple months. This is going to become our neighborhood. And that's the thing, is like in the beginning, it's so uncomfortable. Everything. To get here was a 20-minute drive. If there was no traffic, it was a 3.5-hour drive with the traffic. The traffic here is bananas. It was so uncomfortable. After traveling all day, we were stuck in a stinking van for 3.5 hours. And we managed. I didn't let my kids turn on their phones or escape this uncomfortable. We just dealt with it. One kid passed out. He just took a nap. Great. That made it less comfortable for me because he was sleeping on me, sweating. And then another kid just started goofing around. And so anyway, we figured it out. But we didn't try to escape it. And that's the whole point, is that I would really implore you, if you can, to please find a way to put a wrench in your routines, at least for a time. Because if you're somebody who has a lot of great routines and you got everything going, fantastic. That's an important skill to acquire, especially in the sexual integrity path. It's fundamentally important for a while to rely on your routines, on your habits. But remember, habits alone doth not a healthy person make. There to facilitate our days. But the joie de vivre, the joy of life, the spice of life is in the emotions, is in the newness, is in the discovery. And that discovery happens when we face our demons, when we put ourselves in a position where it's kind of like we gotta grow or we gotta retract. And please take this with a grain of salt and don't be reckless. Don't do anything crazy. Like a lot of people who watch Eat, Pray, Love or a movie like that. It's like, I'm just going to sell my house and move to Bali. We lived in Bali. It's not like the movies. What they don't show in the movies? Giant bugs that hide behind your shampoo and like scare the crap out of you and your kids. So don't do anything drastic. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is please understand that those are two different muscle groups. I'd say most of you are much more in the camp of you have your daily routines. You have an alarm clock. It goes off at the same time. You have the thing that you eat first, and you have your route that you take to school or to work, and like everything's pretty much unconscious at that point, which is good. Honestly, it's actually super healthy to have that. But if that's you, then to understand there's a need to vacation from that so that you can see yourself more clearly. Because every time I travel, I change some major aspects of my life. I will see, oh, I had that really bad habit, or I didn't notice I was heading off in this direction until I stepped out of myself and took note. So that's the essential message. I was going to say message today, but that's the theme of today, is to understand that for me and for my family, traveling is that wrench in our lives. And again, we don't do this for glamour. We don't post anything on Instagram. I don't even have a personal Instagram. I lost my login a while ago and I just never cared enough to find it to get back in. So we're not doing this for the fancy pictures. We're doing this because it's like exfoliating your soul. We end up letting go of so much of who we were, and we become these new versions of ourselves, getting filtered through this process of living in uncomfortable situations and figuring it out. So, yeah, if you don't have the budget or the desire to travel, just make some new friends. You can do a staycation and just go to all these places you've never been before in your hometown. There's all sorts of things you can do, but the point is that unless you're getting nervous at least once a week, it means that you're just on autopilot, and that's quite dangerous. I would say we should all get nervous at least once a day, like genuinely nervous, and we should be able to overcome it. And when we do that, things become very three-dimensional. I hope this was helpful, everybody. That is all I got for you this hour. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.